Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Chris here. Wanted to bring you guys a Litecoin update, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit here. I just want to show you something that I was looking at, what I was going through, what I was seeing. So, if you guys could like, subscribe, if you like this channel, all that, it really helps us out. I appreciate it. So, what I wanted to show you guys is my case for Litecoin going from around this $79, $80 back up to around $130. Okay, and this is even up to 130 in this bear market that we've been dealing with. So first of all, guys, what I want to show you is when we had this first initial drop, so we were at the all-time high, and of course we dropped all the way down. You can see this long one here, here. But what I'm trying to show you guys is when we had this major drop, we had this big fall, okay? Then we had our reaction bounce. We went back up to this $256 or so. And from the top of this to the top of this here, our reaction was about minus 31.32%. Okay? Because we went to that bottom, but we came back up and recovered. So the next time we had this long, drawn out drop yet again, right? So guys, from this top this time to this top was negative 28.09%. So obviously you can see, guys, we're having lower highs, but we still have these reaction bounces. So we went down to 110, then we bounced back up to 185. So now, guys, what I'm anticipating is with this drop, if we stay consistent around, 31, 28, negative 31, from where we're at here around $80, we should at least have a reaction back to close to around this 130 mark, which would give us minus 31%. Okay, so let me draw that line here for you. Because remember, nothing just falls in a straight line, guys. You're going to have these reactions. So you see that there. So my thoughts is, why couldn't we at least go back up to this point before we have a potential another drop that, may send us to $50? We don't know yet. But there has to be these reactions. When you drop as hard as we've dropped, there's going to have to be a point where we make a run back up. And my thoughts would be to close to around that 130 mark or so. Unless we could continue to break up higher than that, set a higher high right there, and then a higher low, see if we can get over this 185, and that's how the trend would change. But just going off these percentages of overall drops. So one thing I wanted to show you guys as well that you have to be aware of. Sorry, the screen went crazy on me there. So guys, I'm going to erase this right here. So when we had this percentage drop that we were dealing with, let's go price range. So it did drop 71%, but like I said, we had that reaction, and that's where it came back. So our overall was only a 30% drop out of there, which that's still a ton, guys, but I'm just saying nothing's going to fall just to the ground. You're always going to have these reactions, and that's what I wanted to point out to you guys today, that just be aware, if we see all of a sudden a run start back up, we get to that 130, be cautious and be aware, because that could be a point where maybe we could drop back down. So we had this high, lower high, lower high, then the next one could be here, and then we have a lower low that's down, $40, $50. It could happen unless the trend changes. And guys, what we need to have happen is for us to break out right through this trend line. And you can see that's going to be at a tough spot too, around that 115, 120. If we can break through that hard and get up over top of that 130, then we'll be moving, and we'll come up and test this 185. But that's what's going to happen, guys, and we got to have a lot more volume take place. I mean, you can even see here, people get all excited that we got back to $80 when we dropped down to 74, 75, whatever it was. But this volume is not good. We're still really deep in this bear market, guys, and you can tell by the volume from right here. So let's do this. You can see how it's just slowly dropped off, right? So we just had that slow decline. It's just been getting lower, and you can even go from here. Now, so say you don't want to take that overall crazy pump that we had. We're still having that decreasing volume that's going down. So keep that in mind, guys, and that's indicative of a bear market. We are definitely in this intermediate bear market, so something we got to deal with. And then you can see when we make runs, your volume will go up with a bull market. So, guys, this is just speculating, but one of the reasons why I feel like this sell-off may be coming close to an end, you know, could be getting there, is this now, we're starting to retrace down into what could have potentially been our wave 1. So if this was like a wave 1, then we had a 2, and then this is just a monster 3 that came up. Then we pulled back for our 4, and then we had our 5 right up to the top. That was just higher than our 3 here, which is a great possibility that could be the case. And typically when you have these retracements, it's not going to go past the top of that wave 1, which now, guys, it looks like we may be in that territory, but we're very oversold. We're at, let's see, the RSI. The RSI is down around 26 right now. So another thing is why we could maybe play a potential bounce if you were buying it at 80 or 75, whatever. The RSI most likely is going to at least go back and test that 40 line, which is right here. So here's our 40. And guys, remember, if we stay trapped underneath there, we're definitely in a bear market. We're having a lot of trouble. But I feel like we're at least going to go back up and test this. So a run on the RSI from 26 up to 40 on the daily chart is going to give you some really good gains. What if we could buy now and make 30%? And we know that maybe around 130, if we have some bad signs or we have some tweezer tops or some bearish divergence, then we would know to sell back off before the major fall. But my thought is I may try to play this reaction a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so obviously being very careful with your capital, but this is the time, guys. I mean, look how low we are on this RSI right here. We're pretty close to all-time lows. Let me see. So we'll just make the chart like that because it's kind of good, guys, to go back and take a look at just history here and see where things have been before, especially after like major sell-offs, things like that. So this was a major sell-off, guys. We went from a high of around $100 all the way down to $33. So obviously, you know, that's like a smaller version of what we had happen here. It was almost at, you know, 70 whatever % drop. But our RSI, the lowest it has been, could even be right now. Let's check. So guys, about right there. I mean, we are at all-time lows, and each time we've been at these all-time lows, we've had a bounce. So let's go back and take a look at that now. So we hit here, we had a run up to 68. We hit here, we had a run up to 62. These are great gains, guys, if you can get in on this. We hit here, we had a run up to 78. It's a really big run. Came close here, guys, and we still ran up to 65. Came down here. We ran up to 68. So now we're almost having a double bottom on this 25-26 line. Guys, we're at the lowest. So how much lower could it go right now before we have a reaction? I don't know how much lower it really could go unless we had some just absolutely catastrophic news and all of a sudden our daily RSI is down at 14, which anything can happen in this space, but, you know, you got to think of things like that. You know, you got to kind of be greedy when others are fearful, and in my opinion, this would probably be a decent time. You know, you can't regret buying for the long term, especially when the RSI is at 26. There's a lot of people who were buying, you know, up here when it was at 80, 70, all that type of stuff, and look what happened. You know, it's just a massive crash. We went from, on the RSI, 93 all the way down to 30. So it happens, and it happens fast, and it happens hard, guys. And we have definitely retraced pretty deep. So if we do our Fibonacci retracement, we'll just go from this point here. We'll take it up because I want to measure that run that we had. So we got to around 375. And this is another sign too, guys. We're at the 786. I mean, look how deep we have retraced. That is a monster retracement. So after a run like this, say we were still in a bullish market, we would have seen a pullback to like the 236 or the 382, around 284 or 230, then we would have went up again. But this is a really, really deep retracement that we've dealt with overall, and it is time for the bulls to step back in. Look how low this volume's been, and that's been since December. I mean, we're going on half a year with no volume, essentially. So just keep that in mind, guys, when you're looking at this. We're at the 786 here. We've broken down through it a little bit, and our RSI is also at rock bottom. So, you know, I'm not your financial advisor, and I'm not telling you to buy or anything like that, but you see the wick that we wicked down through the 786 here. Let's see if we can get in close to that, guys. And this is the type of stuff I do, kind of just this like investigative, where you're really looking at it and seeing patterns and different things like that that we've dealt with before, because I think it plays a really big factor. So we're fighting with that line right here, guys. We got dumped down to 73, and then we got bought back up. We tried to poke through the 786 here. That didn't happen, and now we're underneath it a little bit. So we're just going to have to see what takes place, guys. This is definitely a scary time, but it's also an exciting time, and this could be potentially where people make a good amount of money. Because in terms of the Fibonacci, the next spot's going to be at $3, guys, and I don't see that happening. You know, worst case scenario, in my opinion, we could go down to right here, because we had a huge bounce off this one right here. That's where I picked up 3 coins, guys. I was proud of that. I saw it. It went from like $100 or so down to 36, and I bought 3 of them a while back. But look at the volume here that also came in right at that. So you know that was a manipulation. We had that big fall, and then huge volume came in. So, you know, guys, what if we do go back to $30? It's very possible, but is it likely? I don't know. But that would kind of be my count as well. If I were to have done wave counts on this, guys, which I said I'm still a beginner at this, so bear with me. I don't know if this could be the case or not, because I'm not going to count this wick, guys. I know that the 2 can't retrace back past the start of 1. So what if it was something along these lines? Let's do this. So what if kind of this was our start here? We had that nice 1, then we had our 2, and then we had the massive 3, which, let me pull this down. That was just a monster impulse wave. And then we went from that 348 back down to around 250, guys. I mean, that's a big drop. It doesn't look like it on the charts. And then we came up to finish out our 5, which is like right up in here. It's hard to see there, guys. I'm sorry. Let me try to move the chart over a little bit, just so you can kind of see where that 5, because the 5 is higher, as you can see there. 3 would be our longest, just like that. And I mean, that, guys, you know, I'm no professional at this, but that would at least kind of be my count there. Would be that 1, and then we had our 2. And remember, since 2 typically would be sharper, but 2 here was a little bit more, if we put the chart like this, a little bit more flat like that than what 4 was. So if this was our flatter one, then 4 would be our sharper one, and vice versa. If this one was super sharp, then 4 could be flatter. But I would almost peg it at that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then we had our correction here. So see what happens, guys. And you know, it's just it's an exciting time to be alive. It's scary, it's exciting, it's what are we gonna do, you know? And you can see that little 5th wave that potentially ran up right there. But you guys tell me what you're doing. Are you buying? Are you waiting right now? Have you been slowly laddering in? What has been your plans? That's what I want to know. So guys, God bless each and every one of you. Take care. Please like and subscribe.